The Earth occupies a minuscule part of this vast universe, and it too has a perfectly designed system incorporating extremely complex and delicate balances. Unlike any other known heavenly body, its atmosphere and its surface support life.
Well, back here in reality, Earth's atmosphere is actually vastly less complicated than that of many other planets in our own solar system. Examples of this would be Uranus, Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, and Venus. Among them, they have many moons which harbor extremely complex and different atmospheres. There's been talk of evidence of past life developing on Mars. It is theoretically habitable by algae and certain bacteria. Venus is also in the habitable zone in our solar system, and life of some sort could also exist on Titan, one of Jupiter's moons, and Europa, one of Saturn's moons.
Water, which covers the biggest part of the Earth's surface, is one of the basic elements of life.
Wrong. Water is not an element. It is made up of two elements, hydrogen and oxygen. It's called compound.
The temperature range, orbital properties, and surface of the Earth all demonstrate that this planet is specifically designed for life.
No. Life evolved to be suited for Earth, not the other way around. Plus, we're discussing the evolution of life, not planets. Also, the Earth is able to have life precisely because it's the planet in our solar system, the most within the habitable zone. The habitable zone depends on the star whose planets would be orbiting and the distance of their orbits from that star. It differs from star to star. There's even some research that would suggest that the habitable zone of our solar system changes with conditions on and within our sun. Adding to that, Earth isn't a perfect system. Anyone who knows anything about thermodynamics can tell you that it's theoretically impossible to create a perfect system.
This unique planet of ours.
Earth isn't unique. This is an extrasolar planet found by European astronomers. It's about 20 light years away from the solar system. It orbits a red giant sun, and it is Earth-like.
Is the home of an incredibly complex and comprehensive vitality. Millions of different plant and animal species live on Earth in perfect harmony. This harmony is so perfectly established that it is capable of surviving intact unless deliberately intervened in by human beings.
Yeah, that's right, because it is so perfect that extinctions never happen. So that 95% of all life that ever existed on Earth being extinct is something we should just forget. Right?
How did these systems and living things originate? When living things on Earth are examined, a manifest design is to be observed. Every living thing is furnished with extremely complex systems that enable it to play its role in the overall system to the best of its ability.
No shit. Your manifest design crap is because successful configurations of biology usually don't die out. Plus, nearly all living creatures today share one original configuration within their species, which stems from an even older main configuration, and they evolved to have differences in order to survive in their environment, which they can't change. Case in point, whales. Whales arguably have the same body parts as elephants, yet one is the largest land mammal and one is the largest aquatic mammal.
Since life is planned, designed, and organized, it certainly must have a creator.
No, your logic there is completely flawed. That's like saying a raindrop fell and hit me square in the eyeball, so there's obviously a magical being producing rainfall designed specifically to hit my eyeball.
The theory of evolution that was advanced in the 19th century denies this evident fact of creation. This theory holds that the species on Earth were not created by God, but came into being as a result of processes governed entirely by chance.
No, Evolution does not cover the origin of life. It covers the development of different species through natural selection over time. If you are looking for the currently accepted theory that life formed through the chemical interactions of inanimate matter, then you're looking for abiogenesis. This theory describes how through processes of thermodynamics, electromagnetism, and simple atomic bonds, simple sugars and proteins can form and develop into self-replicating systems.
The founder of this theory was an amateur naturalist named Charles Darwin. Darwin expounded this theory in his book, The Origin of Species, which was published in 1859. Darwin's book was an instant success, but its popularity was due more to the ideological implications of the book rather than its scientific worth. Darwin's ideas provided considerable support for the materialistic philosophy which denied the existence of God. The founder of dialectical materialism, Karl Marx, dedicated his book Das Kapital to Darwin and wrote on the cover, "To Charles Darwin, from a devoted admirer."
Wait, what? What does Karl Marx being a supporter of Charles Darwin have to do with anything? He's not responsible for the origin of species. Darwin is. You know, I know what you're doing and I don't like it. You're pandering to the backward sensibilities of the extremely right political spectrum who have been brainwashed into thinking that anything but unregulated free market capitalism is evil. Honestly, it's getting old. 1950s old. McCarthyism old. If you want a Carl to call evil all your own, it's this guy.
Darwin's theory argued that all species descended from a common ancestor.
Yes, he did. And guess what? Pneumodesmus pneumoni, in tetrapods.
By means of little cumulative changes in long periods of time. Darwin could advance no sound evidence to prove this claim. Indeed, he was himself aware of the great many facts that invalidated his theory. He admitted these in his book in a chapter entitled Difficulties on Theory. Darwin's hope was that these difficulties would be overcome by new scientific discoveries. But in fact, advances in science would refute Darwin's claims one by one.
Someone should probably let National Geographic know. Evidently, they've got their facts very wrong.
Darwin proposed that all species evolved successively from a common ancestor. But how did that first living thing come into being? Darwin did not address this question at all in his book.
Yeah, that's probably because The Origin of Species discusses the deviation of species within the animal kingdom and not how they originally got there.
He was not even aware that this point was one of the biggest refutations of his theory. The primitive understanding of science in his day assumed that life had a very simple structure. According to a theory called spontaneous generation, which was popular since the medieval age, it was believed that living things could easily arise from non-living matter. It was commonly thought that frogs spontaneously arose from mud and bugs from food leftovers.
Actually, that is almost what the current held theory is, only at the atomic scale and taking astronomical amounts of time. It's called abiogenesis.
And in Darwin's time, the belief that microbes could emanate easily from non-living materials was very common.
It's called abiogenesis. The reason the antiquated theory of spontaneous generation is looked on as ridiculous is because of the complexity it suddenly produces. I can think of only two theories that put forth that life originates from dirt: spontaneous generation and creationism.
Ha ha ha!